NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day Sports Show. In today's episode, I'm rocking the Waterboy jersey because we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers, and I want to stay as unbiased as possible as we break down both of these playoff teams. The Eagles the number 2 seed, the Packers the number 7 seed. Packers are 11-6. The Philadelphia Eagles coming in at 14-3. Two really good teams, and a rematch from week 1 where the Philadelphia Eagles were victorious, but it was a very good game, back and forth. Some players on both teams had really big days. Saquon Barkley had 3 total touchdowns. Pretty impressive stuff, guys. Josh Jacobs averaged over 5 yards a carry in that game. Lots of fun stuff to break down. So we're going to break down the offense and defense on both sides of the ball for both of these teams. I'm really excited to break this game down for you and let you know who I ultimately think is going to win this wild card round matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. Let's get into it. Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers. This is what playoff football is all about, guys. We got two tough, run the ball down your throat football teams going at it for a chance to play in the divisional round. The Eagles are at home, and this is the 4th time the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers are meeting in the playoffs. The Eagles have a slight advantage in this series, 2-1. These teams are flying high. The Philadelphia Eagles have won 12 out of their last 13 games. And in the last 6 games for the Green Bay Packers, they've scored over 25 plus points. So both of these teams are riding high, everyone. It's going to be a very exciting game. This is honestly, even though I am an Eagles fan, probably my favorite game of Wild Card Weekend. There's 6 really good games, but this one takes the cake in my opinion. Jalen Hurts got back to practice today. He was a limited participant, but he's back. He is going to suit up on Sunday. But there are some injuries for the Packers that we have to take into consideration. Christian Watson, their deep threat, he is done for the year. This dude has over 600 yards this year, but per catch, I think he's got 29 catches. Over 21 yards per catch. Unbelievably impressive. He could really take the top off of defenses. So that's going to hurt that deep ball game for the Green Bay Packers. Because especially in the first quarter and the first half, the Packers want to come out, run the ball down your throat, punch you in the face with Josh Jacobs, and then use play action after establishing the run to beat you down the field. For the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts hasn't played the last few weeks, so we'll have to see how he's feeling. And is there going to be a little rust he's got to shake off, right? Even though Jalen Hurts hasn't played the last couple weeks, he's put together a very impressive season, guys. Listen to some of these stats. Jalen Hurts, 630 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns, 4.2 yards per carry. And the Eagles are 10-0 in the last full games by Jalen Hurts that he started and finished. This Eagles offense is averaging 27.7 points per game and third down efficiency coming in 10th best in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles also have Saquon Barkley, who finished the year with 2,005 rushing yards, just 100 yards behind the record of Eric Dickerson back in the 80s. But if you look at the stats, Saquon Barkley averaged 5.8 yards per carry, and Eric Dickerson only averaged 5.6. In my opinion, I think Saquon Barkley, when you add in those 13 touchdowns and what he does in the passing game, had a better overall season than Eric Dickerson did. I'm a big Saquon fan. He's probably third in my MVP race behind Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. This Philadelphia Eagles offense is incredible, led by A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, the two perennial number 1 wide receivers. They both only played 13 games this year, but A.J. Brown had over 1,000 yards. Devontae Smith had over 800 yards. The touchdowns for both of these guys coming in at 7 for A.J. Brown and 8 for Devontae Smith. Can this Green Bay Packers team slow down this Philadelphia Eagles offense, right? The Packers rush defense is one of the best in the NFL, guys. Tied for 5th, 4.1 yards per carry allowed. And versus quarterbacks, only 3.5 yards per carry. So they're really good at keeping the quarterback in the pocket. That's very important, especially with Jalen Hurts, who can pick up several first downs with his legs. Not just the tush push, but once the pocket kind of breaks down, he's very, very, very good at avoiding the outside rushers and stepping up and making plays with his legs and keeping his eyes down the field to make big plays with guys like A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. What makes the Green Bay Packers defense really, really opportunistic is they have 17 interceptions this year, guys. Unbelievably impressive. This unit is very, very talented. I love Edge Cooper, one of my favorite prospects from this past year's draft. I actually wanted the Eagles to draft him. The dude's absolutely crushing it. An 84 PFF grade. Very, very, very impressive stuff. Both the Packers defense and the Philadelphia Eagles don't really blitz at all whatsoever. In fact, only one team in the NFL blitzes less than the Green Bay Packers. And I think that works very, very well for the Philadelphia Eagles. Because one thing that I can say that Jalen Hurts does that as a fan you don't particularly like is he holds on to the ball too long. He's taken 7 sacks in his last 2 full starts. The dude definitely holds on to the ball too long. But there's not going to be a bunch of outside blitzers that he has to worry about. He's just going to have to process, go through his reads, and find the open receivers in that zone look that the Packers kind of put out there for most of their defensive snaps. I like what the Packers can do because they're a bend and not break defense, but never blitzing to me makes you kind of one-dimensional, right? It's just another element that you don't really have to worry about. But the defense in the playoffs can change dramatically. They could come out and blitz the shit out of Jalen Hurts and they won't really expect it. So that might actually be a smart plan. So we can't take that out of the realm of possibilities, right? So who has the advantage between the offense and the defense? Philadelphia Eagles offense or the Packers defense? I'm going to have to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. The pass rush isn't really there. They're in the middle of the pack for the Green Bay Packers. They don't blitz a lot. And when you have weapons like the Philadelphia Eagles has, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, and a very good offensive line, if you do not get pressure on Jalen Hurts, OMG, he is going to carve you up. So I think they need to make some adjustments, maybe blitz a little bit more than they do in the regular season to try to get after Jalen Hurts. Because if you're going to just drop back in zone, or even if it's man-to-man, I think Jalen Hurts can beat those type of coverages. Now, let's move on to the Green Bay Packers offense and the Philadelphia Eagles defense. The Eagles have the second total defense in the NFL. Vic Fangio has done an incredible job. We've seen these young stars like Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond, Nolan Smith Jr., Jalen Carter really take a step forward. Last year, Jalen Carter played less than 50% of the snaps. Now he's well over 85% of the snaps he's playing this year. Vic Fangio really knows how to use these pieces. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell have been unbelievable, an absolute revelation for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Darius Slay, he's a little bit older, but he's still playing really well. C.J. Gardner-Johnson can get out of position from time to time, but he's very aggressive and opportunistic, and Reed Blankenship is just a very, very solid safety for the Philadelphia Eagles. On the flip side, the Packers are really going to miss Christian Watson, that deep threat that kind of opens up these underneath routes for guys like Tucker Kraft. And Musgraves is back too. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Green Bay Packers kind of ran 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, right? Have both of these guys out there, kind of mix it up with their other receivers like Reed and Dobbs. But I think going in 12 personnel could be very, very interesting because that can help the run game as well. Play action off of that, kind of find some openings in the middle of the field for the Green Bay Packers. I expect to see that 12 personnel a lot with Musgraves coming back healthy. And Tucker Kraft is one of my favorite tight ends this year. He's really, really emerged as kind of like a safety net for Jordan Love. When plays break down, he's looking for Tucker Kraft all day long. Another thing I want to talk about right now is just how important it is for this offensive line of the Packers to use that consistency that they've had all year long. It's pretty much been the same group. They played pretty much every single game together, and that's very, very important. If the Green Bay Packers want to win this game, they need to establish the run early, and Josh Jacobs needs to touch the ball at least 20 times in order for the Packers to get a W. Jordan Love is dealing with an elbow injury, right? So I don't know if he's going to be able to stretch those throws 20, 25 yards down the field, right? So what they're going to have to do is establish that run, use play action with some crossing routes and some mid-range routes to kind of break up what the Philadelphia Eagles do well. The Eagles also do not blitz a lot at all whatsoever. They rank 29th in blitz percentage this year. So Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat need to get home if the Philadelphia Eagles want to slow down Jordan Love and company, right? Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean have been doing great jobs, especially in third and short. Vic Fangio is very, very aggressive on third down, right? If it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, he might send some blitzes on those short 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s to kind of punch the offense in the face in the backfield and create a turnover for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next thing I want to talk about is the kicker situation. Jake Elliott, minus this year, has been a very consistent kicker, but in 2024, he's 1 for 7 in kicks over 50 yards. That's an abomination, man. That's very scary if you're Nick Sirianni. And Nick Sirianni is already very, very aggressive on 4th down. 19 for 30 this year, 65% conversion rate on 4th down for the Philadelphia Eagles, which is very impressive. So I expect him to be even more aggressive, especially because Jake Elliott has just not been performing well over 50 yards at all whatsoever. On the flip side, the Packers signing Brandon McManus has been a very, very good thing for this team. 20 of 21 on his kicks this year. Very, very impressive stuff, guys. So, who do I ultimately think wins this game? The Eagles, for me, are better offensively. They have a more experienced group. The quarterbacks are about a wash for me, but A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are better than any of the wide receivers the Packers have, in my opinion. I think Goddard and Tucker Kraft are about a wash. The Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is tremendously better than a pretty good Packers unit. I mean, Mailata, Dickerson, Juergens, Becton, Johnson, 4 out of the 5 guys have over a 75 PFF grade, which is extremely, extremely impressive. But the Packers offensive line, no slouch. 66, 68, 55, 62, 87 for Tom at the right tackle position. They're definitely not as good as a unit, and I definitely think Jalen Carter is going to have an advantage when you look at this D-line versus this offensive line. Jalen Carter is going to be in the middle of this defense going against 2 guys that just aren't very good at all. Their center and guards are definitely the weaker point of their offensive line. I think Jalen Carter has a huge day and wreaks some havoc in the backfield. And then if we flip it over, the Eagles offense against their defense, I do love Xavier McKinney. What a signing. Let's clap it up. And just let's clap it up for how bad the Giants are. They let Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney walk. Xavier McKinney had 8 interceptions this year. Do you think the New York Giants could have used those 8 interceptions? Probably. Oh, boy. And then the Giants are keeping the GM and the head coach. What is going on in New Jersey? But I love it because they're a disaster, and I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so keep sucking it up. All right, let's get down to my prediction. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game, and I honestly think with Jordan Love's injury, the injuries of the last few weeks of Evan Williams and Quay Walker, who haven't played the last few weeks, and Jordan Love's elbow, it's going to be pretty cold and nasty in Philly. I know they play in Lambeau a lot, but Jordan Love, they run the ball so much, he hasn't been asked to do a lot. He hasn't been asked to win a game with his arm. And with a busted up elbow, without your best deep threat, I just don't see how it's possible. And one thing I forgot to mention, somehow it escaped me, is there's going to be no Jair Alexander for the Green Bay Packers. So how on earth are they going to cover Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown consistently down the field? I just don't see any way that happens, guys. McKinney's going to have his hands full with Dallas Goedert, and I just don't see how these cornerbacks contain these guys. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. Saquon Barkley is absolutely incredible. He can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. The Packers have their hands full, guys. If they won, I would be very, very, very surprised. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game 28 30-20. The Philadelphia Eagles dominate with the run game. Use some play action. Jalen Hurts picks up a touchdown, maybe 2 with his legs. I love myself some Philadelphia Eagles this weekend in the wild card round and move on to the next round. And we'll see who the Eagles are facing, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Who do you think wins this game between the Green Bay Packers on the road going to Philly to take on my Philadelphia Eagles? I would love to know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.